So we'll be moving over to our final facilitator, Dr. Chukwuemka Nwabuzor Castro. Dr. Chukwuemka Castro Nwabuzor is a lecturer at the University of Nottingham School of Law, UK. His background includes lecturing at the University of Warwick Law School and working as a research fellow at the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. He is also a lead consultant at Dadiem LP Lawyers and Consultants, a registered data protection compliance organization. Dr. Nwabuzor holds a PhD in law from the University of Warwick, specializing in corporate self-regulation of anti-corruption law and policy, and an LLM from Queen Mary University of London. As a barrister and solicitor in Nigeria and a non-practicing solicitor in England and Wales, his experience and research focus on anti-corruption, data protection regulation, and leveraging emerging technologies for compliance and efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as we welcome Dr. Chukwuemka Castro Nwabuzor. Dr. Chukwuemka, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I think I'll need to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Yes, ethics and AI in adjudication.
Yes. So thank you very much for that introduction. I don't need to introduce myself. I work at the University of Nottingham and I'm based in the UK at the moment. This afternoon, we'll be discussing the topic ethics and AI in adjudication. And what we'll be doing will be to examine how AI can be used ethically, its risks and also safeguards, risks and safeguards in evidence and judicial decision making. One thing AI is set to do is that it's set to foster changes to different industries worldwide, including the automotive industry. What we hear today is the future of the automotive industry, for example, lies with self-driven cars. We hear similar tales in finance, in retail, transportation, manufacturing, entertainment, and even in all aspects of the legal industry. Even though the day when the role of the judge or that of the lawyer or legal researcher or judicial assistant, for example, or even investigators will be replaced by AI is still one that is far in the future. If that day should come, the foundations for the use of AI in the legal industry is beginning to emerge globally. Today, we have just as Mr. Jaibu mentioned, in Nigeria, we have the NBA-ICLE AI guidelines for legal professionals. We don't really have a strict policy on AI, but we could make reference to that because that's the only Nigerian official content, so to speak, that defines AI. We'll look at the definition later. In 2023, UNESCO, for example, developed the draft guidelines for the use of AI systems in courts and tribunals, following wide consultations with justice sector stakeholders worldwide. The draft guideline emphasizes the need to align AI use in judicial settings with values of justice, human rights, and the rule of law by identifying 13 principles surrounding the opportunities and risks of AI. We'll be considering some of these in the later segments of our discussion. Sometime in 2004, Google collaborated with Ipsos to develop a report. They did a research and they had a report based on that research on the wide adoption of AI. And that also focused on Nigeria. Nigeria was one of the jurisdictions considered. And what we learned was that 70% of participants in the survey in Nigeria were using generative AI within a period of 12 months. And that was significantly higher than the global average of 48%. So we can see that's emerging trend and an increasing trend in the use of AI, even in Nigeria. Even top AI executives in Google, like Kent Walker, the president of Global Affairs of Google, has mentioned that the more people use AI, the more excited they get about the potential of personal, professional, and scientific breakthroughs on the way. But one thing we should think about and reflect on is that the more we get excited, we should also take a step back to reflect on the ethical use of AI, on the appropriate safeguards that need to be deployed to avoid the risks that all AI also brings. But one thing is certain, the truth must be spoken, that AI as technology that relies on machine learning algorithms to process vast amount of data has the capacity to make highly accurate predictions in certain fields and can outperform humans in executing important tasks. But there is need to balance the progressive nature of AI as far balancing the benefits associated with the progressive nature of AI with the risks associated with the use of AI. And that's what I am focusing on in the discussion today, looking at the ethical measures that could be put in place in the development and deployment of AI. So in our discussion, that was just an introduction. We'll be looking further at how AI has been or can be applied in adjudication, the benefits of AI in adjudication, the risks of AI in adjudication, and when we use AI, what ethical considerations are there? What are the ethical considerations and the safeguards? And because the focus of this webinar is on young lawyers, we'll look at, okay, what's the role of young lawyers in the fourth industrial revolution that is really engineered by AI and algorithm developments globally, and then we'll conclude. So in relation to the application of AI in adjudication, judicial bodies in Nigeria, the courts primarily, have not yet outsourced total decision-making to AI, but we've seen the use of AI in the judicial system. But what this part is going to be discussing is the application of AI in adjudication, and the discussion will not be restricted to Nigeria. Like I mentioned, it's what's being done and what AI has the capacity to do that we'll be discussing. Some of it, some of it will just be re-emphasized. When we talk about adjudication here, we are making reference to the process of resolving disputes in courts. And the discussion doesn't extend to other forms of resolving disputes like ADR or ODR, that's online dispute resolution. There was a chance to impute something about AI in legislation, particularly the Evidence Act as amended in 2023. But that wasn't really done. The Evidence Act doesn't make reference to AI, but still makes reference to computer records, which are admissible. And we can look at AI documents produced by AI as computer-generated records also, which could be admissible in the courts. The Nigerian Data Protection Act, as Mr. Jaibu mentioned, and also the General Application and Implementation Directive 2025 made pursuant to the NDPA, and also the National AI Strategy. They do not define AI, but like I mentioned, the NBA, the SBL of the NBA has produced an AI guideline for legal profession in Nigeria. The guideline defines AI as the branch of computer science dedicated to creating intelligent machines capable of mimicking human cognitive functions. And it goes ahead to talk about the functions that include learning, problem solving, and decision making. While AI, for example, is capable of doing this, like I mentioned, there's also caution that should be employed when we are thinking about how AI facilitates learning, facilitates problem solving, and also facilitates decision making. Some of that we'll look at when considering the risks associated with AI. So this definition is quite similar to that given by UNESCO in 2022. The most widespread technological innovation in the courts in recent years has manifested in the use of various forms of digitization. So while some courts have relied on algorithmic tools to support communication with stakeholders, we can see also the use of AI in also pretrial sentencing and parole decisions. Some courts also recognize the role for online dispute resolution, but like I mentioned, the online dispute resolution has to relate to that proceeding from the court itself, not online dispute resolution like those that PayPal or eBay does. So AI has been applied in communication and correspondence. It's been applied in legal research. So for example, we see people being able to streamline their communication, perfect their language use through the use of AI, communicate with fellow litigants, and also communicate to the court with ease. As per legal research, yes, AI is a viable tool for legal research, but it's debatable whether AI should be wholly used for legal research. So the power of AI to correctly perform intelligent summarization of documents is debatable. So while AI can provide summary to lengthy legal documents, court judgments, or even complex legal arguments, this may not be wholly recommended. So if you look at the UK AI guidance, yes, for judicial office holders, the guidance provides judicial policy against the use of AI for legal research. It says that while AI might be a useful way to be reminded of material we may recognize as correct, it is not a trusted tool for conducting research to find new information that cannot be verified independently. AI also may not provide convincing and reliable legal analysis. And we saw that in both discussions from the previous speakers. AI could be used in streamlining document drafting and also review. So it can generate initial drafts of and also review various legal documents like contracts, pleadings, motions, agreements, and also provide templates. But how accurate these are going to be will be dependent on the jurisdiction and the amount of information fed into the web from which AI feeds or could be used to train AI. AI could also be used for electronic filing and case management. And what it can do is that it has capacity to engender proactive case management and analyze case documents, automatically issue procedural directions to parties if there are chatbots embedded in the systems of the courts, for example. So you could have document trackers, for example, that could be embedded within the systems that send reminder, minimize delays, and also reduce human intervention in somewhat routine administrative tasks. AI has been deployed in pretrial and sentencing, although it's prone to bias. AI has been applied in such processes. For example, we could see AI algorithms being used to assess the flight risks of or public safety of defendants to inform bail decisions. We've also had in the US, most states use a system called Compass, which uses scores to assess the likelihood of recidivism. That's the likelihood of defendants reoffending. This system, however, is designed to play an assistive role and is not designed to be solely relied on for making judicial decisions, because doing this may be contrary to automated decision making principles enshrined under data protection legislation like the NDPA or the GDPR, and also goes against the right of individuals to fair trial. For parole decisions, we've seen states in the US, there's a state in the US that has a parole board that uses system based on machine learning algorithm to support prisoner release decisions. And other administrative agencies at the state and federal levels have deployed or are currently researching the use of machine learning in support of various administrative functions pertaining to parole. AI has been used to also predict court decisions. I know there's AI embedded in Law Pavilion at the moment, but we could see more enhanced versions in other similar forms of legal databases. So researchers have used machine learning to predict court decisions, where you could look at the likelihood of a judge's decision, looking at the precedents that have been laid before, either in the lower courts where the judge sat prior before elevation to a superior court. And there was a 2017 study where machine learning statistically and correctly predicted the outcome of 70% of 28,000 US Supreme Court decisions and 72% of individual justices' votes from 1816 to 2015. I gleaned this from an author called Coglianese. So, but in relation to predicting court decisions, there's also a balance that needs to be there also. France, for example, has banned case prediction because of the fears for interference with the right to fair trial. This particularly so because in France, there's this strong emphasis for cases to be determined strictly on law and case facts. We'll now move to the benefits of AI in adjudication. The benefits are numerous, but what have brought together in this discussion are just 5 core benefits that enhances efficiency. Okay, so because of the fact that AI can process information at lightning speed that may be impossible for humans to meet, it could also reduce the time that we humans use for manual tasks also. So if deployed effectively, it could actually enhance significant movement towards reducing case backlogs if we are to look at it from the administrative perspective. AI could improve accuracy, but it could also engender inaccuracy. So there's also need to balance this. You could put in a sentence, for example, filled with very bad English, for example, and AI could actually make it super accurate. But then we need to look at the jurisdiction where we are and how things are written in that jurisdiction. In the UK, for example, one of the ways that we could use to identify AI embedded in the judicial guidance on AI is to look at references. So for example, references that don't sound familiar can be said to, yes, be produced by AI. References in American English rather than British English, for example. So that balancing needs to be there in presenting accurate information generated by AI. AI could engender greater access to justice. It could reduce the cost and automating processes, but that will also mean that people who own jobs like transcribers, for example, ought to enhance their capacity technology-wise. AI could produce consistency in decisions. Theoretically speaking, AI, when properly designed, could reduce certain inconsistencies in judicial outcomes by applying rules and precedents uniformly. But like I keep on mentioning, there has to be alignment in the use of AI for there to be such uniformity in application of rules and precedents. One thing AI does, especially for researchers, is it provides data-driven insights. It can provide valuable insights into litigation trends, judicial behaviors, like I mentioned, even though jurisdictions like France have banned predictions. And then AI could also inform better legal strategies. Despite the benefits, AI also has certain risks that need to also be considered. AI could be biased also and be and engender discrimination. Because AI systems are trained on historical data, if the data reflects existing social biases against certain demographics. So for example, I'm in the UK, you have biased societal data, for example, that reflects maybe BAME demographics, Black, Asian, minority demographics, for example. What AI can do is that it can perpetuate and even amplify these biases and could lead to discriminatory outcomes in judicial making or in judicial decisions. This is critical because Nigeria also is a very diverse society. So there's also the lack of transparency associated with AI use. Many AI algorithms, especially complex deep learning models, operate as black boxes, meaning that their decision-making processes are usually not clear enough they are difficult to understand or even explain. So just think about the black box from the aeroplane. Okay, it's difficult to decipher. So this lack of transparency could undermine the principles of due process and also of accountability. There is need for human oversight and accountability in the use of AI, which is not often there. Just like the two previous speakers mentioned, there could be AI hallucinations. Okay, AI can generate false or fabricated legal precedents or even inaccurate information. And we've been told of different consequences for this, because as lawyers, we ought to take responsibility and we can't point fingers at AI as being the cause of any dilemma that we may be faced in the course of judicial proceedings. There are also data protection and information security risks associated with AI use. So when you're dealing with clients and client data, we should also know that whatever we feed into the AI could also be going against the data protection rights of clients who are protected under the Nigeria's data protection regime. And depending on who your client is, you may also be looking at breaches under international data protection regulations like the GDPR. One risk of AI is that of job displacement. While it can enhance legal practice, it can also displace certain human roles, like secretarial roles, for example. So that's one concern. So AI also can reduce critical thinking, and this is most important for me as a teacher, because right now we see a whole new generation of students coming into the law school and coming into this new AI age who are pretty lazy. They are could just be engaged in complete mental torpidity. That's where they rely on AI for the very last day, and that's for assessments. So AI could reduce critical thinking and also have an effect on that problem-solving capacity that lawyers should be known for. One thing that we could encourage is that or discourage is that cognitive offloading that could be engendered by AI. Now we look at the ethical considerations and safeguards embedded in, so we'll use insights from the Nigerian's AI strategy and also international best practice from UNESCO's two documents, the Recommendation on the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, November 2021, and also the draft guidelines for the use of AI systems in courts and tribunals. Most of the things I said regarding the risk and also benefits of AI can also be called from the NBA-ICLE AI guideline that I made reference to initially. So the NAIS, that's in National AI Strategy, includes guiding principles on responsible and ethical conduct and requires consideration on societal impacts and upholding of ethical principles like transparency, fairness, accountability, and respect for human rights and values in the design and use of AI. If you look at Pillar 4 of the strategy, it proposes the creation of a high-level AI ethics expert group and a national AI ethics commission that will guide development and implementation of ethical AI principles that align with Nigerian values, while Pillar 5 proposes the development of a robust AI governance framework that fosters trust, transparency, and accountability in Nigeria's AI development. As we've discussed, ethical considerations for AI development and use in Nigeria are currently in the proposal stage, stemming from the National AI Strategy. To ensure responsible AI implementation, we can look to international best practice like that of UNESCO I've mentioned. The first of the documents, the recommendation on ethics of artificial intelligence, developed in November 2021, is what we'll look at next. The values under this document include respect, protection, and promotion of human rights and fundamental freedoms and human dignity, the recognition of environment and ecosystems flourishing, that's the environmental impact of AI systems have to be reduced to minimize climate change and environmental risk factors, and also ensuring diversity and inclusivity. The values also include living peacefully, just and interconnected societies. There are also principles within that same document, which include proportionality and do no harm, safety and security, fairness and discrimination, sustainability, the right to privacy and data protection, for example, is also important. So, for example, in paragraph 32, it said that it's important that data for AI systems be collected, shared, used, archived, and deleted in ways that are consistent with international law and in line with the values and principles set forth in the recommendation, while respecting relevant national, regional, and international legal frameworks. Paragraph 34 goes ahead to say that AI actors need to ensure that they are accountable for the design and implementation of AI systems in such a way as to ensure that personal information is protected throughout the life cycle of the AI system. The principles continue. Transparency and explainability. We talked about that being a risk, but then the principle here is how can we mitigate the risk? So, for example, we have paragraph 38 saying that people should be fully informed when a decision is informed by or is made by AI algorithms, including when it affects their safety or human rights. There is responsibility and accountability. Like I mentioned, lawyers who use AI, legal practitioners who use AI, judicial officers who use AI have to take responsibility for the use of AI. For AI to be used, there needs to be awareness and literacy, not just for the users, but also to be recipients. So there's need for recipients to also be aware that AI is being used in certain judicial proceedings. And there's also the need for bottom-up governance, kind of, where there should be participatory involvement of multi-stakeholders in adapting and collaborating, in adapting AI, and also in collaborating in relation to different strategies for the ethical use of AI. The next document is the draft guidelines for the use of AI systems in courts and tribunals, 2024. It's still a draft guideline. I think consultations ended November last year. So the guidelines propose principles and specific guidelines for the judiciary to prevent adopting AI tools that do not comply with human rights, prevent the misuse of AI systems, and enhance the benefits these tools can deliver. One of the guidelines includes conducting impact assessments before AI systems are deployed. Data transparency, quality, and integrity is also key. That when you talk about data transparency, ownership of AI-generated documents is also very important. There's also the need for proportionality and suitability, and also alignment in AI policy development. And like you mentioned previously, consulting with multi-party stakeholders is also vital to engender bottom-up AI governance. I went too fast there. This proposal particularly makes a case for human intervention. So just like you can't have sole automated systems making decisions, there has to be human intervention. There has to be in place risk management systems in the use of AI, and all these have to be embedded within an AI policy that is well accepted within the judicial system. Enhanced privacy protections reflecting the principles enshrined in the NDPA and also the GAID. And also human capacity development is also key for AI to thrive. Now, as young lawyers, and we're going close to the conclusion, what do we need to do in this age of AI? For sure, we need to embrace AI and related technology literacy. We need to be the guidance of justice to see that justice is done, and also to advocate for responsible and ethical use of AI, just as we've highlighted, going by the international best practices in the UNESCO documents I shared, and also advocate for regulation or bottom-up AI policy development for the judiciary, and engage in continuous learning. Continuous learning or continuing learning is really important in this direction. And also, when we innovate, we need to innovate responsibly, especially making sure that our I's are dotted correctly, and also ensuring that AI products are also vetted and verified appropriately before being put forward. I'll leave you with this quote by Dave Waters, that AI is an infant at best. Once it becomes a teenager and believes it is smarter than its parents, will it rebel? Will AI rebel against its creators and users? And I think I've said it all. And this is my conclusion. Justice Kekerekun, the CJN, has emphasized that AI is a tool to augment. It shouldn't replace judicial wisdom. And I come to the end of my discussion today, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Lillian.
you very much, Dr. Chukwuemka. We really appreciate your time, the insight and knowledge shared. I believe now so many of us will be mindful and very cautious with how we apply AI to the ethical considerations we have to take. So I have some questions which
This meeting is being recorded.
which were which were dropped by some participants in the chat box, and they were addressed to you. So please, I'll be reading them out. The
All
first
right.
one is from Mr. Jacob Arowo Shegbe, and it says several people have predicted massive job losses in the near future due to increasing deployment of AI tools. What is or are your suggestions in reducing the likelihood of this prediction from being actualized as far as the legal profession is concerned? Do you want me to take it again?
I think I got that.
Okay, sorry.
Would you want me to take the questions one at a time, or you want to give me the questions numbered and I take them after?
Okay, maybe I should just give you the questions, then you can answer, sir.
All right.
At the end, like I'll conclude the questions to you, then you answer all of
okay.
them. Okay, so the second question is from Mr. Augustine Azike. He said, in adopting the use of AI, how do we deal with the likelihood of copyright infringement in the material generated? Then, did you get that, sir?
Yes, I did.
Then, another question. I think the other two are statements, but let me read them out. One of it is from Mr. Ayodele Laogun. He said, will too much reliance on AI not affect human productivity? Then from Mr. Ephraim Adedoyin, he asked, why is our judicial system finding it difficult to use AI, especially our judges? So those are the questions, sir.
Yeah. Let me start with the last question on why the judicial system is finding it difficult to adopt AI. It's just like any form of learning. If you haven't been accustomed to using basic computer systems, it will be difficult to adopt AI systems. So how far have we gone with mere Internet of Things, for example, that AI rides on before delving into AI? But it could also be a good thing. Okay, we don't need to join the bandwagon of AI and this AI revolution. It could also be a good thing, and it's only in the future that we'll know whether it might be an inertia, or it could just be that's resistance of the judicial system, or it could just be the stakeholders also not actually being being well grounded in the use of AI systems, for example. But I know there are numerous legal practitioners out there who use AI. ChatGPT, for example, is widely used in Nigeria. But whether the judicial system will adopt AI is dependent on different things. One, finance. Finance is something. And then integrity. Mr. Jaibu mentioned that the government is the biggest extractor of personal data, for example. If the judiciary, for example, adopts AI fully, AI can't exist without information, and that information has to be safeguarded for AI to be used effectively. So where all those systems are in place, then AI may be able to be used effectively with certain measures to mitigate the evident risks in the use of AI. I don't know if I've answered that question very well, but that's, I think, the much I can say to the best of my ability. Mr. Ayodele mentioned, the question by Mr. Ayodele was, will too much reliance on AI not affect productivity? I think it does. I think it does. Like I mentioned, too much reliance on AI could create that form of mental torpidity. It could create actual sluggishness when you're wholly relying on AI and not using any part of your own mental capacity. So one thing, like I mentioned in the presentation, is that AI use could reduce critical thinking. It could also reduce problem-solving skills. Just imagine you being asked questions by a client. If you're wholly reliant on AI, or you're trained to wholly rely on AI, and you're without any AI tool, you might just lose that client if you can't stand on your feet and answer questions. God forbid that a lawyer should know all the law, but the main skill we as lawyers should have is that aspect of knowing where to identify the law. And AI for now is not a reliable mechanism for identifying the law. It could help us streamline our thought processes, but my dear, if you don't have that good critical thinking capacity, then AI may just be useless to you. But AI will enhance your work if you have very strong critical thinking capacity and you have a very good foundation for problem solving. Mr. Augustine asked whether the adoption of the use of AI, so in adopting AI, how much do we deal with the likelihood of copyright infringement in the material generated? I'm not well grounded in copywriting or copyright infringement from AI products. But one thing I know from experience is, so for example, I used to teach at Warwick, and one of the very first policies Warwick was one of the first universities that developed a policy for ethical use of AI for assessment by students. And what was said was, if you use AI, you should be able to reference AI. So that was the first policy. What I hear now is that they shifted to, well, you shouldn't use AI at all for assessments, but what you can do is where you have original thoughts. Why AI shouldn't replace your original thoughts. What AI can do is to actually fine-tune your original thoughts. And I even heard that. So I just graduated last Friday, a week from now, from Warwick for my PhD. And one of the things the MC noted, one of the most prominent things that was my take home was that you should use AI as a tool. You shouldn't allow AI dominate you. So in relation to copyright, I would say, yes, the developers of AI tools, they have their copyrights for the AI. The AI system, but what you impute should be your AI. Whether it's a shared copyright between you and the developers, I'm not so sure about that, and I don't claim expertise in that area. So I'll advise you seek experts' opinion on that. The first question from Mr. Jacob was concerned massive job loss, okay, and what suggestions can be in place to reduce the likelihood of the predictions on massive job losses in the future. Yes, AI is going to cause, it's already causing massive job losses. I used to attend international meetings when I worked with NIALS. And one of the meetings I attended in Abuja involved Francophone lawyers also. So there was a massive, there were massive boxes for interpreters who were translating everything the English speakers were saying to the French speakers, and the same things the French speakers were saying to us, the English speakers. I don't know how that will be sustained in the near future, because I think AI has taken over that too. So if you look at any organizations that would want to look at cutting costs would readily go for deploying AI than employing numerous staff who as translators. So one thing that is highly recommended is for people whose jobs may be at risk, it's really vital to go to the next level, to actually keep on training yourself. And that is the need for continuing education. So the law is not just about the law, it's about how innovative you are in your own practice. So one thing AI cannot take away is that aspect of human empathy, that aspect of natural human advice that you could bring, and that aspect of humanity in itself. So AI doesn't have that yet. So one thing is you be yourself, know your onions, continue upgrading your knowledge and your skills, not just in relation to the law, but internationally, because you have different other things you could do as lawyers, including consulting, international consulting also. So you can be an expert in a particular field that may never be replaced by AI. So while there are certain jobs like the job of the secretary that may be lost, we now have secretaries who are going into AI administrative functions, for example. So you have people who can use AI to be able to generate more authentic documents based on their earlier knowledge. So they will be, if I'm to employ anyone, I'd rather employ someone who had pre-AI skills, but is now grounded with AI skills. So I think the future of such jobs is human capacity development. I think those are the 4 questions. I've made my best. I think I've tried to answer them in the best possible way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lillian.
Thank you so much for your time and knowledge that you have shared so far. And we don't have more questions in the chat box for now. So I think that will be all. I just want to use this medium to do a short recap of all that we have witnessed in this webinar today on AI and legal proceedings. Before we draw the curtain, we treated AI and trial proceedings, where we looked at AI tools and how they impact on different stages in trial motions and evidence presentation, legal research, brief writing. We also looked at ethics and AI in adjudication, which was just concluded now, where we had insights on issues of bias, transparency, accountability. We also looked at governance and AI standards, models for courtrooms, which we had comparative analysis of the Kenyan practice, which was taken by Ms. Naomi. So it's necessary for all lawyers in applying AI to be very cautious. And as all the presenters has noted, you can use AI to ease the burden of work you have, but you should also be mindful of verifying facts and precedents and information which you extract from those websites such as ChatGPT and others, so that you will not fall victim of misinformation or hallucination, and that whatever you are sending out or disseminating or sharing to others would be transparent, and you will also conform to standard of confidentiality and data security, and also to avoid issues of bias and discrimination. So at this juncture, on behalf of Juritrust CLE Konsult, we want to thank the NBA for their unwavering commitment to advancing legal education and also supporting programs and discussions like this that shape the future of our legal profession. To our truly distinguished speakers, Dr. Chukwuemka, Nwabuzor, Mr. Jaibo, Mr. Olubemi Jaibo, and Ms. Naomi Gichiku, we really want to thank you for your invaluable insights. You have not only enlightened us, but you have also provided practical pathways which we would use to navigate the complexities and opportunities presented when using AI. So really appreciate your time and your expertise. And to all our participants who stayed with us from beginning to the end of this program, we also want to thank you for being here throughout this intensive session, your engagement, your questions, and your keen interest, the commentaries as well. And it also like a need to, it underscores the collective commitment of we all as lawyers to be mindful in embracing innovation due to emerging issues that might arise using tools like AI. So the discussions we have treated so far show that AI is just not a technological wave, but it's also like a profound shift that is needed in different areas of practice, trial proceedings, ethics, and governance. So we just want to leave you with this nugget that the future of the law is not just about replacing lawyers with AI, but also empowering lawyers through AI. So you can use AI, but be mindful and be cautious in applying it to your day-to-day practice. So once again, we want to thank everyone for being here, for your time, your attention, and your contributions. And I hope everyone was able to fill this CPD form. The links have been shared repeatedly in the chat box. Please try to do that within the few minutes that we have. And we also shared our WhatsApp channel for you to follow us and be engaged with our future programs. A link tree was also shared to our other social media platforms. Please endeavor to subscribe and follow us as well. So we really want to thank you and thank our facilitators once again, Dr. Nwabuzor, I'm sorry, Ms. Naomi, and Mr. Jaibo. Thank you very much, and we look forward to welcoming everyone in future programs such as this. So at this juncture, we wish you all a good weekend and look forward to meeting with you in future discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.